The chains were unnecessary. At least, that's what Veshka thought as she sat in the cold containment chamber aboard the human warship Resolute Dawn. The magnetic restraints around her wrists hummed softly, a reminder that escape was impossible even without physical shackles. Across from her, 12 other prisoners, officers, scientists, warriors sat in identical positions. None spoke. None dared. They had all heard the stories. Humans did not take prisoners. Or if they did, it was worse than death. Rumors whispered across conquered star systems spoke of interrogation chambers filled with blinding lights, sonic flares that peeled thoughts from minds, chemical baths that dissolved pride and sanity alike. The humans were soft-skinned and fragile, yes, but their cruelty, it was said, made even the old war empires tremble. Veshka's frilled ears twitched with each distant footstep in the corridor outside. She was a tactical officer of the Kthar Dominion, a species of scaled amphibians whose empire had ruled 3 spiral sectors for centuries. She had commanded fleets. She had burned human colonies from orbit without hesitation. She had watched their cities bloom into ash. Now she was captured, along with the others, survivors of the Battle of Talon Rift. The Dominion fleet had fallen into a trap. Human ships, slender, angular things bristling with unfamiliar weaponry, had emerged from stealth fields and shattered them in minutes. No mercy was expected, none given in war. Yet here they were alive, which meant something far worse awaited. The door hissed open. A human entered. He wore no armor, no visible weapons, just a dark uniform and a small metal emblem on his chest. His eyes were pale, unsettlingly bright under the sterile white lights. He carried a tablet in one hand and a tray in the other. The tray held bowls. Steam rose from them. A rich, savory scent filled the room. Food? The human walked down the line, placing a bowl before each prisoner. A metal spoon rested on top. No one moved. The human finally spoke. "My name is Dr. Elias Mercer, Xenopsychology Division, United Terran Coalition. You've been in stasis for 2 days while we stabilized your injuries. You are now awake and hungry." Veshka stared at the bowl. A thick stew, vegetables, grains, some form of protein. It smelled good. "You may eat," Mercer said calmly. "No tricks. No drugs. We tested it against your biochemistry." Silence stretched. Finally, one of the prisoners, a towering Kthar warrior named Grothzen, let out a low, suspicious rumble. "You feed us before you flay us?" Mercer sighed. "We don't flay prisoners." "Lies," hissed another. "Your species exterminated the Zyrak by peeling their minds open." Mercer tapped his tablet. "The Zyrak tried to mind control our diplomats. Their nervous systems collapsed when our neurodefenses activated. That wasn't torture. That was self-defense." The aliens shifted uneasily. That story had spread across the galaxy differently. Mercer continued. "Eat. Or don't. That's your choice." He turned to leave. Veshka's hunger won. She picked up the spoon. Her hands shook as she tasted the stew. Warm. Nourishing. Real. Around her, others began to eat too. Slowly. Suspiciously. But undeniably. After they finished, the trays were removed. The restraints remained. Mercer returned and stood before them again. "Now," he said, "we'll talk." Grothzen bared his fangs. "About how you plan to break us?" Mercer shook his head. "No." "About why your Dominion attacked us in the first place?" Veshka blinked. "We expanded. You were in the way." "That's not a reason," Mercer said. "That's a habit." A few prisoners hissed in irritation. But Mercer didn't flinch. "You burned 12 human colony worlds," he continued. "Killed 4 million civilians. We responded, "That's how war works. But now the war is over.
Your fleet is gone.
Your high command is captured. Your empire's core world have surrendered." The room went still. Veshka's throat tightened. Impossible. Mercer showed them the tablet's display. A star map, Dominion territory marked in red. One by one, red systems faded to neutral blue. Ceasefire declarations. Broadcasts of surrender. Images of Kthar admirals signing documents with human diplomats. Veshka's heart sank into her chest cavity. The Dominion had fallen. Grothsen roared and strained against his restraints. Others muttered curses, despair, disbelief. Mercer waited patiently. When the noise died down, he spoke again. "You expected torture. You expected punishment. But we are not here to harm you. Then why keep us alive?" Veshka asked quietly. "Because," Mercer said, "we need you." They were moved the next day. Not to torture chambers, but to living quarters. Simple, clean rooms.
Beds.
Sanitary facilities. Windows displaying stars outside. Medical staff checked their vitals. Engineers adjusted environmental controls to match Kthar humidity needs. They were given clothing. Personal effects.
Books.
Translation tablets. The prisoners, no, the guests, were bewildered. Days passed. No beatings. No interrogations under pain. Only scheduled conversations with humans who asked about Dominion culture, politics, biology. Sometimes they shared information in return. Human history, governance, philosophy. Veshka found herself speaking with Mercer often. One day, she finally asked, "Why are you doing this?" Mercer leaned back in his chair. "Because war ends. What comes after matters more. You could enslave us, extract secrets, force obedience." "Yes," Mercer admitted. "We could, and the galaxy would fear us."
For a while.
Then someone stronger would rise and do the same to us. Veshka flicked her frills in confusion. "So, you choose weakness?" Mercer smiled.
"No.
We choose something harder." He gestured to a window showing Earth, blue and distant. Humans spent thousands of years fighting each other. We burned continents. We enslaved. We exterminated. And every time we thought violence made us strong, we collapsed. We only survived by learning something rare in the universe. What? Restraint. Veshka absorbed this quietly. "You attacked us," Mercer continued. "You killed us. And we responded with force. But we will not become monsters to win peace. If we do, then we've lost anyway." Weeks passed. Some prisoners refused to cooperate. They remained isolated, bitter, silent. But others began to speak openly. They shared Dominion star charts, governance structures, faction rivalries. Not under coercion, but in exchange for knowledge, trust, and something unfamiliar.
Hope.
Then came the day everything changed. A Dominion loyalist cell launched a surprise assault on the station. Explosions rocked the outer ring. Emergency lights blared. The station shuddered. Human guards rushed through corridors. Weapons drawn. Alarms screamed. Veshka's door slid open. A human soldier stood there. "Come," he said. "We're evacuating you." Veshka stared. "Evacuating us?" "You're under our protection," the soldier said. "Move." They hurried through smoke-filled corridors. Some prisoners panicked. Others hesitated, expecting betrayal. Then the ceiling ruptured. A blast of plasma cut through the hallway.
Debris rained down.
A piece of metal slammed into Veshka's leg. She fell, hissing in pain. The soldier turned back. Without hesitation, he lifted her, scaled, heavy, awkward, and carried her on his shoulders as explosions thundered around them. They reached an escape shuttle. Human crew strapped the aliens into seats. No cages. No chains. Just safety harnesses. The shuttle launched seconds before the station's outer ring tore apart in a bloom of fire. Veshka watched the destruction through the viewport, trembling. The human soldier sat across from her, breathing hard, blood on his forehead. "Why?" she asked, voice raw. "Why save us?" He looked at her as if the question was strange. "Because you're alive," he said. "That's enough." The survivors were relocated to Earth, not as prisoners, as delegates. The Dominion's government had collapsed. Civil war threatened their worlds. Famine loomed. Infrastructure lay shattered after the war. Humanity offered assistance, medical aid, agricultural technology, peacekeeping advisors, trade agreements. But they needed Cthar voices, representatives who understood both sides. Veshka stood in a grand hall of glass and steel, overlooking an ocean under golden sunlight. Representatives of dozens of species filled the chamber. The new galactic concord was being born. Mercer stood beside her. "You'll speak for your people today," he said. "I was your enemy," Veshka murmured. "You were," Mercer said. "Now you're something better." She stepped forward to the podium. Cameras hovered. Translators hummed. She remembered the chains, the stew, the soldier lifting her through fire, the quiet conversations, the patience, the mercy. She addressed the assembly. "I expected pain," she said. "I expected vengeance. Instead, I was fed, healed, rescued,
Trusted.
Humanity did not break us. They lifted us." The hall listened in silence. "We once believed strength meant domination," Veshka continued. "But I have learned something greater. True power is the ability to destroy and choosing not to." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. "I stand here not as a conquered prisoner," she finished, "but as a witness. The humans could have become tyrants. Instead, they became guardians. And because of that choice, the galaxy has a future." Later, Mercer joined her on a balcony overlooking the sea. "You did well," he said. Veshka folded her hands behind her back. "Some in my species still hate you. They will never forgive." Mercer nodded. "Some of mine feel the same about yours." Then peace is fragile. It always is. They watched the waves in silence. At last, Veshka spoke. "When we were captured, we expected torture." Mercer chuckled softly. "So I've heard." "What happened instead," she said, "shocked us more deeply than any pain ever could." Mercer glanced at her. "And what was that?" Veshka smiled, frills lifting gently. "Kindness." Years later, a child stood at the edge of a vast garden under twin suns. She was Cthar-born, her scales still soft with youth, her frills bright with curiosity. Beside her walked a human teacher, carrying a tablet filled with history lessons. The child pointed toward a stone monument at the garden center. On it were carved two figures, a human and a Cthar, standing side by side, gazing at the stars. "What does it say?" the child asked. The teacher smiled and read aloud. "Here stand the ones who ended a war not with chains, not with fire, but with mercy. They showed the galaxy that strength is not in cruelty, but in choosing compassion when vengeance is easy." The child tilted her head. "Is it true the prisoners expected torture?" The teacher chuckled softly.
Yes.
They were certain they would suffer. And instead, the teacher looked up at the sky, where human and Cthar ships now traveled the same trade lanes, peaceful and free. "Instead," he said, "they discovered that the most terrifying thing in the universe is an enemy who refuses to become a monster." The child stared at the monument, awe growing in her bright alien eyes. Then she turned toward the stars, toward a future no one had believed possible. A future born not from fear, but from mercy.